1, 2, 3. Who's on the? James. The December 6, 2021 Special Wasilla City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business to attend to during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. And the ones online, you will have an echo tonight, and hopefully it'll get fixed tomorrow. So, Madam Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan Menard.
Here.
Councilmember Brown is absent, but he is expected this evening. Councilmember Johnson is absent and expected. Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Villock.
Here.
Councilmember Harvey.
Here.
There is a quorum, Madam Mayor, with Councilmembers Sullivan, Leonard, Brown, and Villock in person, and Councilmember Harvey participating telephonically.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Nikki, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? Hearing none, the agenda will stand as presented. The next item of business is public participation. It will be persons to be heard.
You have one person on the board, Madam Mayor?
I'm sorry.
You have one person.
Justin Koles. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last names, and your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
My name is Justin Koles. I live at 683 Nelson in Wasilla. And I've come down here to talk about the same item that I've come here many times before to talk about. I feel kind of foolish doing so, but I'm going to do it until I can get you to listen. The street of Nelson Avenue extends from Main Street all the way to Lucas. There are 9 speed signs on Nelson. They're all 25 miles an hour. The vehicles that head up and down Nelson don't go 25 miles an hour, and that's a maximum speed limit. All of them must think it's a minimum, and they go all the way up to 60 miles an hour. They drive, Nelson Avenue is right next to the Wonderland Park. I have a friend that won't let her kids play at Wonderland Park, and she was supposed to be here tonight, but unless she can drive them down there and pick them up, because Nelson is so dangerous. I walk on my driveway on Nelson Avenue. From my driveway to the mailbox is about 100 feet, and I have cars driving by 3 feet away 50 miles an hour. Now, if a police car were to try to slow down some of the traffic and they were to run up to 60 miles an hour, they actually become part of the problem. So I think it's an unenforceable for police officers to reduce the speed. The only thing that would make the park safer, the street safer, would be speed bumps. If you were to implement them, I'm sure that once the people that are driving 60 strike one of those things, they'll get the message and they'll reduce their speed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? Hearing none, we will close persons to be heard. And Madam Deputy Clerk, please read the next item of business.
This is a new business item, discussion on goals and initiatives for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Committee of the whole, action will be taken by the council following committee of the whole. Item number 2120, discussion on goals and initiatives for fiscal years 2022 and 2023.
Thank you. Is there a motion to enter committee of the whole?
Councilman Brown move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. So we are in the committee of the whole, and tonight I will read the goal and I will go down through the numbers to see if anybody has anything they want to change, or if there's any additions to what's not there. So the first one is keep local government efficient and accountable to the citizens of Wasilla. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Okay, the next goal,
Madam Mayor?
yes.
Sorry, just one moment, please. As we're going through each of the budget goals and initiatives, can we hear from your department directors just, I guess, what measurement or metrics are being followed to complete the goal that's before them?
Okay. Do you want these restated?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, just generally speaking, Madam Mayor, I
Okay.
mean, there should be a system in place that you've got, you know, the money set aside for this budget, this is how you're achieving those goals, and then the end result. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And maybe we don't, I don't know.
Troy, do you want to speak to 1 through 5?
Through the council to, or through the mayor to council, so I can really speak to 1 through 3.
Okay.
Specifically. Number 1 deals when we adopt the budget, right? So when the FY22 budget was adopted, we had about a consumption of about $800,000, if I recall, of fund balance through passage at the end of the adopted funds. As far as, and that, of course, balanced the budget. The services reflected for the approved budget, that's across all departments, right? So, I can only really speak to finance. From a finance perspective, you know, things like putting MuniRev in place, all the online activities, the sales tax reach that we've done. Or there's a whole host of investment stuff, revamping different things. And minimizing foot traffic inside. Obviously, we've had the pandemic to deal with, so that's created some challenges. Both in work from home from finance along with other departments, dealing with things like that as well. Obviously, we have maintained the 0 mill levy. Sales tax is up far more than anticipated or budgeted, both in FY22, 2021 and 22. We projected that at all. FY21 increased over 20 by 17%. Looking at business licenses, those increased 4% from July 1st to current, which is about 94 business licenses. So I don't know if you want to have the departments to speak on any of this, or if there's any specific questions, financial questions I could touch on if necessary.
Colleen, is that sufficient for what you're wanting?
Yeah, that's really great. And of course, you know, with the city being debt-free at this point too, I think is an incredible achievement for the city. I think that needs to be acknowledged as well. But yeah, that's good. Thank you very much, Troy. Appreciate that.
I can speak to number 4. We have a managers and mayors meeting once a month. So we work on any mutual interest that we have. And the emergency management training is the EOP. And Crystal, you want to expand on that?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to reiterate what the mayor said, the city managers have a meeting once a month as well, and we go over things like workforce challenges or IT challenges, different policies that come out around COVID or AML, and how we can share some services in the future to make it economically beneficial for all of us. As far as the EOP goes, that is in the process of final revisions to be updated. We did purchase an online software that is the same software that the borough uses for our COOP. And so we didn't want to go away from that software. So the EOP will be fully integrated by the first of the year. And that will be shared with our partners. And what's nice about it is each of the annexes from the library to the museum have put all of their information. So we've really centralized all of our data, and it allows us to be very mobile. Should an emergency happen, the second phase of that process is to do quarterly practices with our staff.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor to Crystal again. What I heard was plans for emergency planning for city employees. Is there any plans to do any outreach to the citizens of Wasilla, emergency notification, planning, education, training?
Through the mayor, yes. The third phase will be the communication externally and internally, and the company that we are working with will have the tools for us to do that. So I'll bring you an update as we go through the different phases. The first phase was just to bring all this information together into one platform, and then it will integrate very nicely with the borough, and it probably will be in the form of an app or something that, especially the communication side, where we can send out a notification automatically if there's an emergency, and we won't have to be so reliant on the borough or another partner.
Okay, moving on. The next goal is to continue to enhance and expand the city's technology infrastructure. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor? For number 7, I know that we've talked about this quite a bit over the years, and my understanding is that we are updating our maps in the permitting process. Could we just get a little bit of an update on that? Is that planning or?
Bob?
Yes, we've purchased CitizenServe, and we are in the early stages of getting a template going by the end of the month here for our code compliance to utilize CitizenServe. It'll allow us to have these forms, and our next phase, this next season, will be having planning incorporated along with it, and having these fillable forms and a lot more forms available to the public to pull off and utilize instead of always coming in face to face in the office.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Brown.
excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Could we also get an update on the maps? Are we updating the maps as well?
I-
City maps and
I'm gonna have
streets?
to research that for you firmly.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To the Technology Department, number 6, you talk about proactive planning and stuff. Could you just briefly, are you addressing protocols for cybersecurity since Alaska is a hotspot for cyber attacks? And the fact that you're opening this up to the public, which opened a lot of doors, those kind of things.
Crystal?
Oh, okay.
Okay, can you? This is on? Yeah. Through the mayor to Councilman Brown, we have been very robust with IT just because of that statement of the increased need for security. So we hired an IT manager that came from another municipality, and the first thing that we agreed on as a whole was to centralize and modernize and mobilize the way that we're doing our jobs, and that included protection everywhere from standardizing our browser to making sure that we have the technology necessary to keep the connectivity for the additional software that we have. So there's an RP on the streets right now for a radio frequency proposal that will allow us to have a greater footprint with more connectivity, and we had 6 vendors that responded. That award will happen in end of January, and then February we'll start drawing that out. And included in that is cyber protection. We're also looking at security protection as the physical protection of our servers and minimizing the amount of servers and where should we put those servers in case we have another earthquake. And so we've got some pretty good initiatives for 2022.
Okay.
Follow up. Along with that, does the budget you have here give you sufficient resources to have external storage that's not connected, so if something happened, it's not all contaminated at the same time?
So we are just now, we being the IT manager, and he hired a helper as well, is putting together that capital budget and operating budget going forward, because in the past, IT has not been, my own assessment, and finance or anybody else can correct me, has not been adequately capitalized, like if we're gonna build a road, or if we're gonna extend our sewer line. And it needs to have certain capital dollars. So this RFI project we're working on, that was a grant that we were awarded a couple years ago. We need to have that done by September. So it is a critical piece of infrastructure. And so we'll be bringing I would say a modest budget forward to keep our security strong and our connectivity high.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this goal? You're none. The next goal, encourage strong and diverse economic base in the city of Wasilla. Number 9. Number 10.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Could we get an update on that and kind of what the city is doing moving forward to encourage business? I mean, we've always done a good job, but are there new plans in place for marketing the city, or are we going to, you know, national city, what is it, NACO or anything else to just kind of see how we put Wasilla on the stage?
They have not had, because of COVID, and that's the reason nobody has went. But as soon as that happens, we will send somebody to that. And as far as, I will give you my take on marketing the city. I told Mayor Bronson that we'd steal everything he had, it would be fine with me. So, and you all know, I've always said, we are open for business, and I think that has absolutely helped us along the way. And Troy, do you want to add anything?
From a finance perspective, I mean, I've talked about the business licenses increasing, which is indicative of those efforts and others. But other than that,
Okay, Crystal. Crystal is our economic driver.
I should say Anchorage's. So I think it's no surprise to anybody that we've had more than ever in the past Anchorage residents come out for dinner or for shopping. I was just out doing retailing before we had this meeting, and they all said, we're getting people from Anchorage shopping because of masks. And so I'm sure that wasn't part of the marketing tool last year, is masks, but compliance, people are just kind of tired of that. We've also launched our City of Wasilla app, so people can go on and watch videos if you're moving to the city, or if you're going to open a business in the city, and have that information. But really, we have been relying on our partners, whether it's the chamber or if it's local business customers, to really tell us, what do you need? And really go by their direction, instead of the city believing that we know how to market our city. We do a good job for them, whether it's getting a business license or it's allowing them to open their business faster. That's the best marketing we can really do.
And I meet regularly with H5 or any of the other developers. And they all know if you have an issue with getting a permit or whatever it is, my door's open, let's fix this so you can go on down the road. Okay, continuing on, number 10. $11. $12. Number 12, Troy, do we need that anymore, since we already have remote sales tax collection?
through the mayor to council, so it's really up to council. As a board member on the remote committee, we're constantly promoting the platform, if you will, the Mini Rev or the remote sales. I can tell you that the remote sales is growing quite largely, which is expected with companies like Microsoft and Apple and Amazon, et cetera. Unfortunately for the city of Wasilla, our growth hasn't been as much. And there's a few contributing factors to that. But overall, the city's accumulated approximately $525,000 of net revenue since we started the remote sales tax. It costs the city about 18% of the gross revenues sent in that 18% are costs for the system and et cetera. But to promote it, I don't know if it's up to council if they want to continue as an initiative. It's definitely in the forefront in the eyes of finance, obviously. It's part of our revenue stream, sales tax, so.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Well, I guess if we have a system in place that's there and it's working well, and we're working with AML, I guess we really don't need it, because it's not really a goal anymore, you've achieved that, so I think we could strike that.
Mr. Brown?
Councilman Brown, Krista through the mayor, being the one in charge of promoting businesses, do you have a system where you analyze as more businesses come in, which mean more people come in, which mean more shoppers come in, how that affect the size of the police department? And is there a future outlook as businesses continue to increase, and every year we have increased, that you need a larger police force now?
We do not have, through the mayor to Councilman Brown, we do not have that measurement tool right now. We have looked at a few simple approaches to do that, but right now we just look at the monthly licenses that are issued, what kind of businesses they are, and how many employees they have. One of the things that we know is our planning department doesn't have a layer of economic development onto it. And so that's one thing that we're gonna have to start measuring in 2022.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Do we still need number 12?
I asked to have it removed, do I need a second?
Second it.
There's no objection from the body, since we're in committee of the whole. Let's go ahead and remove it.
Okay. All right, moving on to the next one. Refine and improve the long-term capital project plan to preserve and improve city infrastructure to provide for future growth. Number 13. Number 14. Number 15. Number 16. Okay. The next goal is develop stable and equitable sources of revenue that will provide the needed funding to accomplish the mission statement. Number 17. Hearing nothing, we'll go on to the next goal. It's continue progress in assuring the efficiency of the city enterprise funds while ensuring the systems meet environment and development needs of the citizens and the businesses. Number 18. Number 19.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Could we get an update on 19 with regard to how the Menard Sports Center is doing financially? I know with COVID in the last couple of years, I think it was pretty difficult. And are we rebounding from that? And just how's it going with the budget and the goals pertaining to number 19?
Yeah, pretty much. Pre-COVID, we were having actually very excellent growth. I mean, 15-20%, I'm sure, mathematically, if I could confirm that, but Our growth then was great. Then we had a kind of a spike of Anchorage events coming our way, while then at some period we were certainly closed also for a period, so it's kind of been an up and down. Right now, overall, in general, our building traffic is about almost, it's kind of getting back to normal, where previously, like on a normal year, we'd have almost 400,000 people through the facility. Right now, we're tracking about 200,000. But when it comes to our event holders, right now, we're, majority of the people that have had events have come back and are booking. And a lot of the next kind of phase would be getting back to the ones that came out here for the first time and getting them to stay the second time because of their experience at the Menard Center. But overall, reality is, considering our current environment, we're doing very well. People are attending. You know, again, there's still, an example would be Thanksgiving dinner. You know, normally it'd be 1,800 people. Well, this year, they did 800 meals to go, where normally they'd only do 200. But we're still, through these events, they're still serving the community in a lot of different ways. So revenue-wise, again, you know, everything that we, price-wise, is all the same. We haven't increased or decreased prices. It is something that we can certainly consider going forward for the July budget. But right now, overall, just return to normalcy would be fantastic, and we're definitely tracking that way.
Okay, anyone else?
Troy is signaling.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just to tag on a little bit, the statement that Scott had made about the pandemic and going into pandemic, really the 19 to 20 fiscal years. So the sports complex lost about 23% of their revenue in 2020. And when we look at 2020 to 2021, it's about 4.5% loss of revenue. But that all being said, the pickup comes in this fiscal year where, through the reporting of November, which is about 42% of the year, right, they picked up 44% of the 722,000 in revenue. So things are on the upside for the sports complex. They're doing fine as far as their net asset balances and whatnot. The city did contribute $900,000 in general fund contribution in FY22, which was not anticipated so much because of the pandemic. The way things flowed from that 23% increase when we were looking at that moving into the 22 budget. So it does appear that they are picking up, which is encouraging.
And Madam Mayor, just with that then, what do you anticipate then for the FY23 for supplemental from general fund?
It's probably, right now, we were looking at a contribution of about the same 900,000. But I'll be honest with you, we haven't dove real deep into the 23 year quite yet. We don't have all those numbers in for this next year yet, so that's subject to change.
Okay. Number 20. Hearing nothing, we will continue to provide the citizens with the highest quality of law enforcement services possible in the most efficient and effective manner available. Number 21.
Madam Mayor, I hate to interrupt you.
That's
but
okay.
We did, on the previous goal, there was an initiative that Archie wanted us to look at, I think Crystal's got that.
Yeah, on number 18, it talks about the airport and expanding the number of tie-down spaces and leases, and A is increase the net income of revenue versus cost for airport leases. I just want to make note that now is the time, as Archie left, to explore the development of a terminal to increase the business activity and look for an FBO. With what's going on at Ted Stevens Airport right now with cargo, we've had more than a dozen calls of companies that are looking for an alternative way that they can have some distribution out here. We don't have the services at the airport right now, but we could, and so we wanted to add that as B, to explore the development of a terminal to increase business activity and an FBO.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Councilman
Brown.
On Crystal's, is a proposal to add another goal to do a FOB, if that's what you're suggesting here?
And we probably should put fixed base operations.
Okay, is there anything else on 18, 19, or 20? Hearing none, we will go on to continue to provide the citizens with the highest quality of law enforcement services possible in the most efficient and effective manner available. Number 21.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
do we still have any vacancies for police officers, or have we pretty much got those filled?
Chief?
To the council, through the mayor, I have 2 positions that are unfilled. One is pending a promotion.
Can you tell them how many applicants we had, or we have?
Yeah, I believe we've got 4 applicants that are currently in the background stage. Background stage takes the longest amount of time to do because we're very thorough and making sure that we only hire the highest quality applicants. We average about 40 hours per applicant. So when you consider I've got one person pretty much doing that job, it's going to be a month before we get through the background component of things. But we do have an upcoming academy through the Alaska Public Safety, the Trooper Academy down in Sitka, towards the end of February. So we've got a kind of a goal of getting through these, not just the backgrounds, but the rest of the process by beginning of January, just so we can, for the mid part of January, so we can make sure that we can get people in the academy.
So they should be filled soon?
We would hope so.
Yeah.
We cannot get in the front end. I gave up a long time ago trying to suggest or guess that an applicant's going to be a quality applicant on the front end of things. The process is the process, and it's good at just doing this with the best quality. And sometimes we get through a process without having anybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Brown, to the chief, assuming you get those positions filled by January, looking at your last 12 months of calls and what you see happening around the city and around the state, that's going to give you sufficient manpower to address, as I hear that we are increasing in business license, they're going to give you sufficient manpower and resources.
I believe for the next, at least for the next fiscal year, we're probably fine on staffing if we're full staff. Of course, the problem comes if when we're not full staff. You're aware sometimes you have people that are out injured, you have people that are out on sick leave, and some people take vacations, and, which diminishes our overall staffing capability. When we're fully staffed, we've got sufficient numbers to handle what we're faced with. Currently, obviously, as the city grows, it's something that we're gonna need to closely monitor.
And Mr. Brown, I have met with the district superintendent for schools, and they are on board for us to provide another SRO at Redington. So whenever we are fully staffed and are capable of doing that, then all you gotta do is pick up the phone and call them. That's how ready they are.
And just one follow-up to the chief, Madam Mayor. Reading your goal statement here and knowing that you are very interested in meeting that goal, when you have a citizen in the audience who's complained about traffic, how do we address that citizen complaint through this goal?
Right, well, I think the big part of that is trying to maintain our goal of high visibility enforcement as well. As he had pointed out, his specific incidents, Nelson's a difficult road to do traffic enforcement on. I've done traffic enforcement on Nelson, and somebody's going 50, that means I have to go 70 to catch up to them. And especially this time of year, that is unsafe. But we're using this as an example. I have had some discussions with gentlemen and just kind of approach it from what can law enforcement do and what are realistic and unrealistic. But that's something that also really start to implement, suggest speed bumps, things like that. And in the past, we have worked with planning and roads, putting up signs or other implements to help with speed.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Any other questions on number 21? 22.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
As I look at goal number 22 and 29, it seems like they're duplicative, and maybe 22 could just be worded to include let me see. Well, you're talking about updating, maintaining dispatch equipment, law enforcement equipment, and then you're saying that also in 29. So, is there a way we can incorporate that, maybe just at the end of sentence of number 22, to include fire and EMS in some capacity? Chief?
Well, that certainly that is something that could be done with the council's directive, but certainly that is.
If that's okay, just combine the two sentences into one and just make it one directive.
I may suggest also fire does not fall under city resources.
Yeah.
It's a borough resource.
Councilman Brown, I'm assuming one is 22 is referring to internal to the city, and the other one is external services that we provide to other people.
That would be correct.
Right.
I'm saying, I'm assuming they're separated because one is dealing with Wasilla, and the other one is the other services we provide to other external agencies.
Right, because we dispatch for AST, EMS,
Boards.
I mean, a lot of things. But, Troy, when was it we upgraded MATCOM? That $5 million upgrade?
So the city's been upgrading for the last 5 years now, and the Natsu Borough EMS contract expires at the end of June 30, 22, and I know Jacob's working on that contract speak now for the next term.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I'm fine to leave them separate. I just was trying to figure out if maybe it was duplicative or not, but if it's pertaining to fire and EMS as a separate goal, I guess that's fine, especially with relate to MATCOM and dispatch center.
Right, 22 specifies police department personnel. And 29, even though they include police, fire, and emergency services, so 29 adds other things in there. Is there anything further on 22? 23? 24? 25?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
This is another one I was looking at. You know, when you talk about recruiting for an officer, you're gonna recruit, train, and then retain. So could we kind of combine that all in one, as opposed to having three objectives here? Could we have 24, 25, and 26, just say recruit, train, and retain local law enforcement qualified dispatchers, and qualified dispatchers? That way it's all in one? If that's okay?
Yep. We are on to number 29. $30, 31.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Could we get an update then on number 30 on how the city is following through with this goal to educate on MATCOM? I'm sorry, is that Chief?
Well, Chief, usually it's Jacob, and Jacob's not here tonight, and I don't know. Chief, can you answer that?
Not specifically, however, I do know that ACOM has put out some public information on some of their new 911 systems and apps that are available, and have a mechanism for doing some of the public relations or public information type activities, but I can't speak specifically to what MACOM's doing at that, because they're a separate division.
Sure. Madam Mayor, if we could get an update on that at some point from
Okay.
Jacob, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. I can tell you, we had a booth at the fair,
Oh, yeah.
and so we got a lot of information out, and especially the days that WPD was there and the days that MATCOM was there. So we connect to the public like that. So, okay, number 31. And moving on, we're on page 11. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Preserve and enhance the quality of life for current and future residents of Wasilla and for visitors to this community. Number 32. 33.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
are we still assigning 100,000 into our land bank? And what is our present balance on that for investment?
Through the mayor, Councilman Leonard, so we are currently putting 100,000 per year, and the current balance is 791.
Say that again, 71?
791.5.
Okay, thank you.
Number 34. Number 35. $36. $37. $38. $39.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Can we get an update on this one? I know it was brought up by a council member in a previous meeting about all the weeds on the roadside, and I know we have issues with our lakes at certain points, and we're able to get those weeded out of the lakes and get them cleaned up, and just kind of what the city's doing on that.
Bob?
Through the mayor, Councilmember Leonard, we continue to utilize our Lake Lucille, our weed harvester, and was able to hire someone kind of late because of COVID, but we were able to continue that activity kind of later in the season than typical, and we'll continue. I know we've been asked to possibly look at Wasilla Lake as well. It's a Andromeda stream that is connected, and it would have to jump through a bunch of hoops of fishing game to go through and do what we do at Lake Lucille. So that's an update on that. I am not aware of any roadside weed control that we have done in the past, and I will continue to look into that.
Madam Mayor? So it's a goal that we have, and it's probably been on this page for a few years, so you don't know what we've had previous then?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Most of our roads through the heart of the city are DOT,
Right.
and they would be maintaining some type, but I need to find out about that. Archie did not portray that to me. PPF and approval to a DOT on that.
Anything else? The next goal is to continue to implement the comprehensive plan. Number 40. We did that, did we not?
We did.
We moved you, huh, Jessica? So we can remove number 40. Okay, number 41.
Madam Mayor?
Bob?
Yeah, do we have plans on that?
Go back to number 40, please. Just to give a little bit more of an update on that. With the borough's bond initiative that was passed, and then be purchasing adjacent area parking lot, and we'll be working with the borough to work together to expand parking lot facilities there, so that transportation plus the rail station there, just to be able to keep updated on that.
Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry, yes.
Councilman Brown, still follow up on 40. Could you give a little bit more in-depth of the whole plan, relocating the tracks, the agreement do we have an agreement, are we working on an agreement with Anchorage and how that's going?
Yes, I can speak a little bit to that. Archie did tell me that we are not relocating tracks there. It'll be this will stop like it was before. We will be expanding out the boardwalk to the train area. And in part, so no rail line relocations there. And it is currently being looked at by the railroad in permitting phase still for making that approved whistle stop now that we've moved everything over. And it's kind of the railroad's a little slow in doing it.
Follow up. To the mayor, wasn't original plan was to try to move that and redo things to make it more of a daily route to Anchorage for workers?
I do not know, I think that gets more to the transportation portion of that that's gonna be added into it. As more volume, because it doesn't have a lot of parking
Right.
currently. So you'd have to have mass transit associated with that to make a facility to be able to make it a light rail type of a
Right.
situation. But I am not aware that there is even a light rail. From my understanding, a whole other set of tracks is possible needed and other things the railroad still needs to look at.
Just to further expand on that a little bit, one of the major reasons why the depot was moved was because of the Main Street network. And along with that, the railroad needed a straight stretch to stop that train, whereas right now they stop over the highway there, right? So as far as communication for Anchorage to Wasilla type traffic, that was being looked at, and I think it's still kind of a hope. I know the railroad kind of bucks that a little bit, I think, due to cost maybe or something, but I know that's a hope for Wasilla as far as an alternative to the railroad.
Thank you.
Okay, on number 40, do we want to take that out? Do we want to reword it, or do you want to leave it in as is?
Madam Mayor, my understanding from a previous life on the planning commission, I thought there was additional pieces. Now, maybe those is going away, but I don't think it's fully complete yet.
We need to take the relocate out.
It's been relocated, but my understanding, relocation was part of the deal, relocation, parking lot, and work with the railroad to increase traffic, so I guess I'm easy either way.
You tell me. What do you want, I mean, you guys tell me what you want in number 40.
Madam Mayor, I would agree with Councilmember Brown that it's about a third done in my eyes as well from previous stuff. So if we could probably strike the downtown train station being moved, and then still, facility with parking, transit facility, that's still all stuff we need to work on, for sure. And getting the loading and offloading deck built and constructed. This next season in 2023, we'll gives us the approval to do so in the right way.
Okay,
So Councilman Brown moved that we leave it there.
okay. Number 41.
Madam Mayor, I think I was asking a question on that one. Kind of where we are with the update for streets and highways plan.
Bob?
I'm gonna do some more research on that. I know Archie had monthly meetings with DOT officials, and I'll have to start being included in those.
Okay. And Mayor, do we do the plan, not annually, is it like once every 10 years that we do this plan, kind of like a comprehensive plan? So 2005 then would have been 2015, and then we'd have a new one coming up, maybe 2025?
Mhm.
Does that sound right?
Okay, number 42,
Madam Mayor, if I could go back to number 41,
okay?
sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're former planning commissioner, I get it.
Uh, With the upcoming federal dollars that's coming, do you anticipate an effect on our budget? With the possible money coming in to deal with upgrading roads and bridges?
That is gonna be highly, dealt out to the DOT and not to the city. We have very limited bridges. Basically, the only bridge that I can think of right off the top of my head is off Fern Street. It's Fish Passage Culvert Bridge there. And the rest of them are major roads through the city that, thank God, got upgraded here this summer because we were about a year behind on that. We heard from the public a lot on those. But, we were looking at more for the airfield and for the septage treatment at the lagoons and expansion in that regards. Not as much for the roads, because most of our roads are minor roads, and the city has been doing a pretty good job keeping up with those, and here in 5 years, we'll have them all paved, and then we just have to do asphalt maintenance on those at that point. So it would fall into that category.
And I mean, I know we don't know, but maybe to Mr. Tankerson, we don't know what we're getting, but we know there's federal dollars coming for roads. Would any of the city roads, would it apply to any of the city-owned roads? Was it all for state-owned roads?
Well, from the finance side, we don't know. Recently, went to council, we got 2.6 federal dollars for water sewer that was allocated out. As far as this whole new infrastructure bill, we have no idea. I know that, like Bob said, I know there's a large portion gonna go to DOT. I don't know what that means for the city itself.
Thank you.
Bob referenced Fern Street, and the portion of Fern Street that belongs to the city is very small compared to what the borough owns.
Okay.
So it will have to be a, city borough.
Point of clarification, Mayor.
Yes.
There's actually 3 entities in Fern, all the way towards Fairview Loop is DOT. or about Fairview,
Right.
And the borough was the last section that was put in the last decade, and then our section's the last little piece.
Right. Yeah, because ours is very small compared to the rest of it.
But
So-
ours is one of the most worn asphalt and less shoulders. I know when I redid the borough section, we added a little bit of extra shoulders on that. And when DOT went and resurfaced theirs, they added just a little bit as well. So ours is the skinniest.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just add that, just a clarification, so the comp plan was done back in 2005, and then there was a downtown plan. And it's our, plan in 2022 to update that comp plan, but to add an economic development component to it. Because it's important that we understand what's driving the economy and understand how many jobs it's bringing and what kind of a fiscal impact it's having. So that's one of the things that will be in our budget from the administration is to update that plan. And then Archie had made a note, tie into work done by the Matt Supero in 2021. That's the note he had made on that one. Also, I think Councilman Brown, you asked about this infrastructure bill. I met with the state of Alaska, their Economic Development and Department of Commerce. They had an excellent presentation on what they're speculating it will look like, and I will share that with the clerk for you guys.
Okay. 42. Any questions? Okay. That does it for our goals and initiatives. Is there a motion to exit committee of the whole?
Madam Mayor, I move that we exit the committee of the whole.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The time is 7:05 p.m. Do I have a motion to cancel the next two special meetings as discussions on goals and initiatives has concluded this evening?
Madam Mayor, I move that we cancel the next two meetings, special meetings.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any objections to the motion?
No objection, but discussion, please, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry?
If I could just have a moment, we didn't have a few council members here with us today who have not had a voice with our goals and initiatives. Did we want to leave it open for further discussion or possible amendments, or are we cutting it off now with the stop of the next two meetings? Will there be a time for further amendments, I guess, is what I'm asking the councilman. Yeah, if I go home and I look at it again and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there should have been a number 43 or something.
So after the discussion this evening, the deputy administrator is going to bring back an AM to the first meeting in January. I believe it's January 10th. So it's up to the body if you want to continue discussing them. We have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow and for Wednesday, or if you would like to amend it when it's brought back to council, kind of in a final in January.
Madam Mayor, I'm good with the January meeting. I mean, we went through this pretty quick, and so it's not really me. I'm just kind of opening it up for other council members who aren't here and haven't discussed it. So otherwise, they have January to provide amendments if they wish, I guess. Okay.
January.
Okay, I need a motion.
The motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the motion on the floor is to cancel December 7th and December 8th special city council meetings for continued discussion on goals and initiatives for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. The motion was made by Councilmember Bullock and seconded by Councilmember Sullivan Leonard. Councilmember Brown, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Bullock?
Yes.
Councilmember Harvey?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Sullivan Leonard, Brown, Bullock, and Harvey in support. Councilmember Graham and Johnson are absent.
Okay, so the discussion, when it's brought to the January meeting, then if they have amendments or whatever, it'll be done then. Am I correct?
Yes, they can make amendments.
Okay. All right. We are to, next on the agenda is audience comments. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council at this time? Seeing nobody, then we will close audience comments, and we are on to council comments. Madam Deputy Clerk.
The next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 13th at 6 p.m. That's all I have.
Councilmember Brown.
No comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
No comments, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Velock.
No comment, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Harvey.
No comment, thank you.
Okay, and thank you guys for your time. It's been a very, I think, a productive meeting. So if you have anything, then you'll bring it to the meeting in January. And Bob, I'd like to thank you for, because I know it's been tough. You're the new kid on the block at this point in time, and Archie's the one with all the information in his head. So, thank you. Okay, we are now to adjournment. With no further business at hand, I am adjourning the meeting unless objection is raised. Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 7:10 p.m.